Uh, Good morning, everyone. Oh, Lord, that was so boring. Good morning, everyone. So, 2000 was the year, and I don't know where you were when you heard this. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. It became the biggest song in South Africa in 2000, and all of us loved this song. But the only problem with the song is we just knew that Galagata. All the other songs, we didn't know it. And we were all there, man. In fact, it was almost a crossover for us blacks. We just said like, wow, even the white people are singing along with us. And it made me think about becoming this last maverick, how the world has changed. And today I just want to share with you two stories and a few ideas, and then maybe get us to interact around that idea. And the idea is really about becoming a last maverick. And like Justin said, and it's so difficult coming after a lady who was so inspirational, talking about, the biggest hill I've climbed probably somewhere in KZN. It's probably San Luana. So that's not a real, there's no altitude issues there, just Zulu altitude anyway. So, like Justin said, to become the last maverick, we're looking for people who are game changers, people who understand that for them to become the last mavericks, you have to be, you break the rules and you chart new creative courses of action. But it's also about cheating, but it's a different type of cheating. Mavericks are unconventional thinkers who seek only to cheat on conformity, to be able to do what others say cannot be done. If you think about people like Strive Masiyiwa, the founder and chairman of Econet Wireless, he took the Zimbabwean government to court in order to get his operating license, and it took him 4.5 years. So let's put that in context. He took Robert Mugabe to court. That's very different, eh? It's very different. And I was thinking, so what is it about a maverick that's really gonna inspire us to become these top performers? Because we've been fooled for many years to think that, to be a last maverick, you have to be the 1 percentile of the world, the Richard Bransons, the Steve Jobs. And I want to tell you this morning that it's actually open to everyone. So here are the 5 key points. I'm only going to focus on one today. But the first one is about grand stupidity and absurd bravery, which is what I'll talk about today. It's really innovation. And the thing about innovation is this. When we were growing up, and if you've got a child, you know that as soon as your child can speak, the question they like to ask is why. It's so interesting that even, Alex, you were talking about purpose and understanding your why. Children ask the question why, but as soon as you get to school, of course, you're told not to ask questions. You are taught how to answer questions. So you go through your entire school life learning how to answer the question, so that when you get into the corporate world, all you do is, give me my job description, I just want to work. I just want to answer the question that you want me to do. Do this, yes, I'll do it. And we kill our creativity. The other thing about becoming the last maverick is just about pattern disruption, which is just about understanding that our brains, the most important organ in the human body, contrary to popular belief by the male species, this one is very important. The other one's cool, it's great, but it don't work if this one don't work good. So that's another point. And then, of course, ambition. Yeah, we'll get HR just to send the explanation out. But ambition. If you want to be a maverick, you have to be ambitious. And ambition means, you don't, I hate that expression, got to think out the box. Because that expression keeps on saying that the box is the reference. We want to think out the box, but as long as the box is still in sight, so we have a point of reference. So ambition is also great. And then final point is really about owning your stuff, taking responsibility for who you are. And I use a great story of Trevor Noah when I talk about that, but that's for another day. So as I said earlier, when you think about, man, I remember having to buy that CD. I only wanted that song. But I was forced to buy the whole CD and listen to, I don't know, whoever's had that CD, do you know the other songs? Who don't? You just know that song is joy. That's the song I like. And then Apple came up with this fantastic product, Apple Music. If you don't have it, it's time to move there. For 59 Rand a month, you can download as much music as you like. And you can play it in flight mode. So it's so cool. Okay, you can't share it, but hey, for 59 Rand, why do you need to share it? Just get somebody else needs to get it. They've changed the world. So now I don't have to buy the whole album. I just buy the songs I want. I create my own playlists. That is innovation. This young man, his name is Calvin Doe. I mean, if you think of Sierra Leone right now, what do you think about? You think about the disaster that's taken place, the mudslides. Some of you will think of strife and war. Maybe you'll even think of Ebola that took place a few years ago. But this young man, Calvin Doe, he turns 21 on the 26th of October this year. Still a youngster. At the age of 11, he became an inventor. On his way home from school, he would walk past the dump site, pick up discarded electronic items, get home, and that night when everyone was asleep, he would get up, come to the living room, clear it out, and set up a production line for technology. And he started making things like this, a generator. And he ended up electrifying the local town, the local village of Dworzak. This guy's an inventor at 11. His latest invention is a human tracker which is found in the shoe. So it's like a shoe. He puts this human tracker in the shoe, and while you walk, it generates energy, and it's got a cable connected to it, so it charges your phone. Like, how interesting is that? Innovation. And then, of course, our very own Elon Musk. This guy has decided that his innovation is to own your home and your life through these 3 products. He's got those tiles that he uses for, solar technology is not new, but he's gone a new route. The solar panels that they install on your houses are of different colors. They're made of quartz. Your house doesn't have to look like it's got solar panels. You know, every time you're driving around, I always see it there when I go up this road on the N3, but that All Africa Games village there. You can just see all the solar panels. Man, I don't want my roof to look like that. So he's made it sexy, nice and cool. You don't have to see that your house has got solar panels. And then he's got the second thing in the middle. It's called the power wall. Okay, driven by the solar panels, converts energy into the power wall that can save this electricity for the dark days. And then, of course, you have to have a Tesla. And the Tesla then plugs into this. So who needs unclean fuel and unclean energy? This man has created this. My question to you in your organizations, what are you doing about innovation that's going to create not a difference, but something totally different, something new? In fact, let me give you a quick example. If you think about Nokia, we all love Nokia, hey? I don't know how many of you have ever had a Nokia 3310. If you didn't have a 3310, you haven't lived, my friend. That phone was epic. We loved it for whatever reason. The business Nokia, which, by the way, started out as an agricultural organization, when they went into technology, they came up with these phones, and they were so obsessed with the QWERTY keyboard and the ringtone. Do you remember the They changed that ringtone. They kept the tone, but they kept changing the style. We had all the It just changed. There's even a hip-hop version. I play the full thing in my keynote. Hip-hop version. But Nokia was so internally focused that they lost touch with their customers. At a point where they had over 40% market share, Steve Elop took over as CEO in 2011, and in February, he started getting nervous about Apple. And he said to his marketing team, guys, all our efforts against Apple, everything, change the strategy, everything on Apple. And Steve Jobs just said, we're not changing anything. If I could show you the graph right now, Apple's revenue just flatlined. Nokia's revenue tumbled, and Samsung's revenue grew. Samsung didn't change their strategy. Can you imagine being in that board meeting and saying, like, guys, we did nothing, but we're growing? Fantastic. To this day, the Nokia brand does not even come up on any graphs for the biggest brands in the world in terms of active users. Apple leads, followed by Samsung. Even HTC has got more market share than Nokia. They came up with a new Nokia 3310. I want to ask the question, how many of you have it? No one has it. 10 years ago, if I asked you how many of you have got a Nokia phone, the whole room would raise their hands. And that's what innovation is doing. The constant disruption that we find is often ascribed to technology. I've got news for you. There's a new disruptor in the world, and it isn't technology. It is your customer. Your customer has more choices today than ever before because of the available information. So I have the choice to walk into Woolies. I said I wouldn't talk about it, but here I am. I have a choice to walk into Woolies or to walk into any other retailer. And because I will talk about Woolies, I don't know when they're going to pay me because I'm a brand ambassador. The thing is, if you don't innovate in your business, you are dying very quickly. So my intervention is really about that. The pain points about the last Maverick that I'm addressing in this is simply this. How do we develop people who are forward-thinking, agile, and performance-driven? And those are the 5 points I mentioned, and today I'm just focusing on innovation. So I've got something I want us to all do, and we'll do this just around our table, so try and huddle as close as you can. And I'll give my own example, so it gives you a bit of a guide in terms of what I want you to do. And the question is simply this. What can I create, or what could I create that is truly new? Remember, disruption is not about reinventing or making a difference or differentiation, because we've so differentiated ourselves out of living. It's about creating new things. Disruption is about thinking the unthinkable and doing what no one has ever done before. So let me give you my example of what I think, and I think it maybe it already exists, because somebody said, no, there's something like this in the States. I don't know, but it's not here in South Africa. So as a black man, I go for a haircut every 2 weeks, as you can see, because when I'm driving around and my hair's too long, the wind blows. So I go for a haircut every week, and it really works on my nerves that I gotta wait in a queue, and then my haircut takes about 20 minutes because I gotta wash my hair. Can you imagine if there was a technology where you take this gadget that looks like a helmet and you put it on your head, and then you take your iPad and you select the haircut you want, and you hit submit, and all it does is zzz, and you're done. Think about it, Rob. And you're done. Efficiency, you're cutting down time and all those kind of things. Fantastic. I think it could work. Or a technology that when we have, like now, Cape Town doesn't have water. Something that can just take this cloud, using your iPad, and you move the cloud and it disintegrates into the dam. Like I'm saying now, I want us to answer this question in our groups. I don't want you to think in a limited way. I don't want you to think in terms of physical things. It could be abstract. It could be technology. But what is it that in your groups you can think you can come up with that is truly new? And often when I ask this question, I see people say like, new, there's nothing new under the sun. There is a lot. And you'll be surprised how just engaging with each other, you're able to find ways of creating new things. So if the guys on the sound desk, because you guys are, multimedia, play us some nice lekker music while people think about it, and I'll walk around and give you assistance where I can. What could I create that is truly new? You've got 10 minutes. Okay, you got 7 minutes. Let's make it 7 minutes. I walked around and I was listening to y'all's crazy ideas, from blow up stuff to. So I'm thinking now, just to bring us back, maybe let's get a few people telling us what they've come up with. We're just about to change the world.
My thought process, and there were many of them that we came up with, but the one that I thought of was, which I've always thought of when I was traveling backwards and forwards between Pretoria and Joburg for work, was a fold-up helicopter that you could sort of land on the roof and then fold it up, put it into your back pocket or into your drawer, and then when you were ready to go home again, go back up to the top and open up your fold-up helicopter and then fly home, basically.
I mean, that's interesting. So if you think about it, I'm sure you've seen is it the fly suit, whatever? People go to the top of the mountains and then they're wearing this thing and they're literally flying. I mean, we would never have thought that could ever happen. Now, I know this was quite gimmicky because we were really playing around with ideas, but what it does teach us is that each one of us has the ability in our workplaces to be able to be creative and innovative. So you could go back to your offices immediately after this and have an innovation session, an innovation meeting with your staff or with your colleagues and say, we want to change this, or we want to address this problem, or we want to handle this challenge, but we want to use innovation. And innovation says to us, there are no limits. There is no limit to our budget. There are no constraints to our environment. Let's just think without thinking about a box, and you'll be amazed at what you can come up with. And this is what happens in Silicon Valley on a constant basis. Apple, for example, have got a brainstorming room where you're not allowed in there with a suit. You've got to wear sneakers and jeans and a t-shirt. And when you get in there, you can write whatever you want on the whiteboards. So you can imagine a guy walks in there and says, tired of white cell phones, how about rose gold? Boom, we've got rose gold phones today. It started in that space. So there is no limit to creativity and innovation. And that's really what The Last Maverick's about. So when I come and do an intervention like this, it's really about understanding what challenges your business has, and how can we tailor-make an intervention that says, this is what we can do to create change, to create innovation, and to bring about the best minds in the room without limitation and help the organization grow, but also challenge people to improve their performance in the process. My name is Alex. Thank you very much.